Hello and welcome to All Important Words, the podcast that helps learners of English master the academic word list. This is Jim.
And Bek, and we've got another interesting and useful academic word to share with you today. Jim, please tell us today's word.
Today's word, Bek, is focus. Focus, which is spelled F-O-C-U-S. Focus is included as both a verb and a noun in the academic word list, but we're only going to talk about the verb uses today because they're more common and a bit more challenging for students.
And we'll start by noting that the pronunciation is actually pretty easy. The word has two syllables, and the stress is on the first.
That's right. We say focus. Focus. At least that's how we pronounce it in North America, with an O sound in the first syllable. Focus.
Speakers of British English use O in the first syllable. Focus. Focus. But as usual, the most important thing is the stress. If you get the stress right, the particular vowel sounds don't matter as much.
And what about the meaning, Bek?
Well, in academic English, the most common meaning is to give special attention to one particular person or thing, or to make people do this.
So if you focus on something or someone, you concentrate on it. In other words, you give special attention to it rather than to some other thing or person. For example, recent research in the field of human-computer interaction has focused on leisure technologies like e-readers.
So this means that research in this field has given special attention to new technologies that people use in their free time, like e-readers. And as a result, they've given less attention to other technologies.
That's right. Research in this field is focusing on leisure technologies as opposed to technologies used for other purposes.
That is interesting. So research can focus on something? It doesn't need to be a person focusing on something?
That's right. To be sure, a person, such as a researcher, can, of course, focus on something. But grammatical subjects that are not people can also focus on things. In fact, in academic English, the nouns most frequently used as the subject with the verb focus are research, study, article, and work.
So, if we wanted to substitute these words into our sentence, we might say, recent studies focus on leisure technology, or a recent article in HCI journal focused on leisure technology, or Professor Smith's recent work focuses on leisure technology.
Indeed. And of course, the word work in this last example would refer to Professor Smith's research or his scholarly writing. Something else important to note here, Bek. We need to use a preposition with this meaning of focus.
The preposition on?
Yes. Well, in fact, you'll also sometimes see upon used as well, but on is used more frequently. We should also mention that you can focus something on something else. In academic English, you'll often read or hear the phrase focus attention on something. In our podcast, for example, we try to get our listeners to focus their attention on the appropriate use of academic words.
Nice example. Any other usage points to mention?
Well, when I was teaching in Korea, I noticed that my students often chose to use this word in the passive for some reason. They'd say things like, this podcast is focused on the academic word list, instead of using the active voice, as in, this podcast focuses on the academic word list.
Is it wrong?
Well, it's grammatically correct, but it's much more common to use the active voice.
Interesting. Hey, before we finish, how about if I also share some adverb collocations that often occur with focus?
Great. Let's hear them.
Well, if a writer or speaker is emphasizing their decision to focus on something, they might say, I'm focusing especially on this topic, or I'm focusing primarily on it, or I'm focusing exclusively on it.
Here, exclusively means you're focusing only on this one thing, right?
Right. In addition, if you're comparing your decision to focus on one thing versus something else, you might say, I'm focusing more on this, or I'm focusing instead on that.
For example, my advisor told me to spend less time on extracurricular activities and focus instead on my grades.
Extracurricular activities are things at school or college that are not related to studies, right?
Right, such as clubs or sports or social events.
And do you do a lot of extracurricular activities, Jim?
Not many. I wish I could, Bek, but I don't have much free time. How about you?
I'm in the same boat. I have to focus primarily on my studies.
Ah, the life of a PhD student. Okay, everybody, that's your academic word list word for the day. Before ending, we just wanted to acknowledge one of our listeners, Anthony at the University of Edinburgh in the UK, who wrote to tell us that he's conducting research on the academic word list, that he enjoys our show, and that he's going to be recommending it to his research participants and his academic English students.
Thanks for the feedback, Anthony. We love hearing from teachers and learners who listen to our show. So remember, you can contact us through our webpage at allimportantwords.com or leave a comment on our Facebook page at facebook.com/allimportantwords.
Drop us a line and let us know who you are, how you discovered us, and what you think of the show.
Until our next word, bye!
Bye!